From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty crime stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America. And more importantly, God bless our victims. Hey guys, good afternoon. It's Bullhorn Betty. It's Bullhorn Betty. So we've been covering a lot of the cases. I'm going to wait for a few people to get in. And while I'm waiting for the few people to get in, I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about the case. For those that might be new to this case, I'm pretty sure a lot of people, especially here on this particular platform, is very familiar with this young boy. But I'm sure that there are new people coming to this channel and learning about this case for the very first time. This right here is Sebastian Rogers. He's a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared on February 26th in the early morning hours, according to his mother. So he left his house they left their house on an outing February 25th, which was a Sunday before he disappeared. And there's a lot of discrepancies that have now been raised in the case related to what they did the day before. But it appears that the mother, again, this is all allegedly, had went to bed around midnight, woke up at 6 a.m. When she got up, her son was missing and has never been seen again. So that's kind of where we are. We've gone down a lot of different paths with this case. We've been looking at maps. We've been trying to look at motive. We've been trying to look at means and opportunity. And, as things are kind of settling down, which you can feel that they're kind of settling down, we're not getting a whole host of new information. A lot of the information that we were diving into has been brought to the surface. We even go through some analysis to see if there are some things that could work, such as, is it a financial motive, a financial aspect, a financial angle? We went through that. We checked that out. There is some viability to that, but not something that's just raising alarm bells, which I originally thought. But it did spark a response, in my opinion, from Christopher Proudfoot, acting as if it was his neighbor. So we are forcing them to kind of communicate with us in part, and so we like to keep that lines of communication open. But part of the things that we do is just looking into relevant facts of the case that don't make sense. And I'm in this group. I'm not an administrator. It's not my group by any stretch of the imagination, but I know several of the people that are kind of running this group. And so I'm kind of in it just looking at because it's the largest group that I found. It has 30-something thousand subscribers to it on Facebook, and it's called The Mysterious Disappearance of Sebastian Rogers. And there's a lot of people that put different perspectives in there, and that is what the kind of where we're at with this particular one. This is pretty a long-winded post, so we're going to break it down. It looks like it's 3 separate paragraphs. So I'm going to read that to you because it stopped me dead in my tracks, and it made me start, my brain started thinking. The gears started twisting in my brain about certain aspects that don't make sense. So this particular poster says, I just been thinking about the puppies of Sebastian. What breed of dogs are they? It's been said before that the dogs didn't bark when Sebastian went missing, which seems to further rule out someone unexpected entering the home to uplift him, an intruder. Nina, CP's ex, says the dogs barked when the phone rang. My parents' dogs do this. And my dogs bark when someone arrives at my home, even if someone is known and they can't quite see them yet, who it is, see who it is yet. Like even it's my husband. They only calm down once he walks through the door. So that's paragraph 1, and I thought that was interesting, but there was some other aspect of it that I don't think, that I don't think was covered. Sometimes when kids have disabilities or something, it is suggested as a therapy that, maybe they get an animal. We hear about emotional support animals that everybody has, and I wonder, are these dogs emotional support animals for him, or are these just the family pets? Because it does spark something in my brain, like why would he leave his precious dogs behind, especially if those are his comfort items? So that was interesting. Now, for people wanting to know what kind of dogs they have mini Yorkies. She calls them Morkies. I've never heard them called Morkies before. She called them a Morkie, but I think it's what she was meaning when she called a Morkie is a mini Yorkie. I could be wrong. There may be another crossbreed that I'm not thinking of. You guys would know. You guys probably own animals. I don't have any animals, so I don't know. I did have animals. I love animals. Just my lifestyle is not conducive for taking good care. Oh, somebody's saying a Maltese Yorkie. Maltese Yorkie. Okay, thank you guys for updating me. I don't know. So now we got a Morkies. There's Morkies. So they're saying they're Maltese. They're a Maltese Yorkie mix breed. So there you have it. So that's the kind of dog that they have. The dog. So here's now the second paragraph. We're getting into the second paragraph here, and let's make sure I got everything there. Oh, the barking of the dogs. I know we all have had dogs. I know I've had dogs and stuff. I was very fortunate. My dogs, I never trained them to bark. When they barked, we knew something was wrong. I mean, my dogs, and even my ankle biter, I had a miniature pinscher, didn't bark. I didn't bark at the door, didn't bark at anything. But when they did bark, we knew something was wrong. So that's a little different in my household. Other households have much more loud dogs. My neighbor's got a Chihuahua next door, sweetest little girl ever. But when I'm walking up, you can hear her from down at the driveway. When I come around my house to bring him over some food or something like that, you can hear Emily sitting there just yapping before I get to the door. And as soon as I'm at the door, she's jumping all over me, licking me. So that's it further eliminates, I think, that intruder aspect, but we kind of never really put water to that aspect of it anyways. And then, of course, where the dogs are barking all the time. So I think this is really the very first paragraph is alleging yet again that Katie Proudfoot most likely was being deceptive when responding to those types of answers related to the dogs, because the dogs are known to bark, but they're not known to bark for the people that they know. But I think that it is relevant that he could have barked behind, if he had not seen who they think they see, because like Emily, the example of Emily. Does it really have any factor in all of this? Just deception, unbelievability in the story. Just another, in my opinion, inconsistency that we need to look at, because why are they lying about certain elements and details of this case when they got a missing boy? That's always my question. So the next paragraph says the dogs didn't bark. No intruder. Also unlikely that CP was away but drove back that night, and at an odd hour entered. Surely the dogs would have barked at the sudden arrival. Interesting, and I think that for most of us is plausible. We could see that, we can envision that happening. But Katie Proudfoot is saying that none of that did happen. No dogs barked at all that night. Especially if they bark just when the phone rings. So like it's been speculated before, CP was there all along. And I feel like he could have been, because the way he nods along in the interviews every time Katie says what we did. And the comments of Sebastian would have jumped out of the bedroom window. We would have heard it, etc., which is what Chris said. We would have heard it, as if he was there. We also have the Chronicles of Olivia interview. The very first 5 minutes, she's introducing this cousin. This is the first person that she introduced into the story, and it was her picking up the cousin. Remember, the two aunts weren't included until the Nancy Grace interview. So at this point, she's talking to Because remember, if there's 2 aunts, why did they need to go pick up the cousin? It doesn't make sense, because the aunts would have brought the cousin with them. But in her Chronicles of Olivia interview, she confirms with Chris that they went and picked up the cousin, as if he was there. So this is kind of giving us a little bit, you guys know one of my theories, right? One of my theories is that Chris was originally at the home. He came home that weekend. Something went awry when they got back from the steakhouse and all hell broke loose. That is one of my theories. We don't know what happened, but that is just one of my theories. One of my other theories is that the 3-hour phone call was Chris making sure that Katie was asleep to sneak in the house to do what he had to do without her knowledge. That is another one. Now, there's variations of those stories as well that I'm working on. And then the last one is that Katie Proudfoot was there all by herself, and that 3-hour conversation is her calling him saying, oh crap, I just did something wrong. I need you to come back here and help me. And he stayed on the phone with her the entire time until he got back there. So there are some variations. None of these right now really hold substantial water to either one of the theories or the variations, certain little factors that may be included in certain variations of those theories. But one time, I always keep coming back to how it doesn't make sense for Chris Proudfoot to have not been there with any timeline, and that's why I keep believing that he's there. And I think the 3-hour conversation, if he was there, was them working on everything as he's driving back to Memphis to set up his alibi for the next day. So that really is what I truly think. But, again, they're just theories, they're opinions, and obviously I have 3 separate ones that wildly differ. So I am following the information and following the facts, and that's why we haven't been able to narrow down any further than those three options. There may be other options, we're not looking at. Like, we're not looking at the Seth angle, we're not looking at the stranger danger angle, and we're not looking at the going out the door angle. We had originally looked at all those angles, and they were put down on the bottom of the list because they were the furthest thing that held water. There was just nothing that worked with either of them, or any of them rather, and so we didn't eliminate them as possibilities. They're just on the bottom of the list, as unless there's something that breathes in new life in any of those theories, they're just nothing burgers, but they're still on the list, even Seth Rogers, even though we know he was on videotape, right? So now we're down to the last paragraph of this. Let me make sure. I think we got everything that we wanted to cover on that second paragraph. Now, this is going to be a little bit longer to read, so bear with me, and then we'll further discuss and break it down a little bit further. Sebastian had no shoes or phone. He didn't leave of his own accord. I narrow it down to only 2 possible theories at this point. I think it's either that Peter Hyatt says, and as a severe punishment, was locked out barefoot following an altercation. And once outside for prolonged time, he wandered off in distress. But why wouldn't the neighbor camera see? Couldn't it be too dark for them to pick up much? Distress, possibly injured, he wandered off and maybe falls accidentally into a body of water or is collected in the streets by an offender. The second possibility in my mind is that the altercation that I believe definitely happened resulted in unintentionally in a death. It could have been either CP or KP in this scenario. So we do have the similar scenario, but him being out punished is not part of my scenario, but we will talk about that. It could have been CP or KP in the scenario. They acted together somehow. 2 flashlights outside could have been them cleaning up evidence and moving the body. It's a scenario that they planned to cover up and allude to him running away, but they forgot about the shoes, carrying barefoot body out. Had they remembered this important detail in the theory, they'd have to put the shoes on Sebastian to make him leave on his own accord seems more likely, and cell phone too. So they're hitting on some things that are very, very important, and I do believe that one of those is the case, and that is that they just forgot to put his shoes on when they transported him out. I do not believe that in the punishment aspect of it, and here's why I don't believe that they put him outside of the house. This is just my personal belief, but I think when I explain why I feel that way, I think some people may agree. You may still be, set on this punishment aspect. But this is exactly why I don't believe that that would be a viable option. Because the one thing that we've learned, if nothing more, about Katie and Christopher Proudfoot, it's having that image. It's having that image of a perfect life, having no problems, being the perfect parent, having, it's the image. And I don't know that they would allow their neighbors to know or allow that image to be fractured by having disciplinary issues with their son, public disciplinary issues with their son. If you notice anything about Chris and Katie, they want their privacy. They want to keep their stuff behind closed doors. If they're beating the crap out of each other, they don't want the world to know about it. And so that's kind of the reason why that in my mind, that theory doesn't make sense. I think one of the reasons why a lot of the talking heads and professionals are saying that they believe that there could be this viability of them punishing their child with the outside is because how adamant that Chris and Katie are that he walked out the front door. And a lot of people are looking at that as, well, they definitely, why would they? I don't believe them. I think they're liars. I think they killed their son. I do not believe that this boy walked out the door. I believe that that is them repetitiously saying to themselves he walked out the door. I think that that is what they have to tell themselves to keep it straight. Now, I could be very, very wrong. I've never believed this boy walked out the front door. There's no evidence whatsoever to even support he was outside. As a matter of fact, all the evidence is so scant in this case. I truly believe that shows the level of cleanup of this case because there is no evidence. And the evidence is very little. You're talking about an autistic boy that doesn't have the common sense to clean up his scent, his DNA, his, whereabouts. He doesn't have that ability. He's not a normal kid that functions normally that would be thinking of these things. So how can an autistic boy that doesn't think about, not leaving a scent, not doing this, how is he able to manufacture the perfect getaway? That's the problem I'm having. But the reason why I really don't believe that he was punished outside of that home, I believe he would have been abused inside the home because I come from a home like that. And if you know anything, if you were my friend back in my 20s, the one thing I've always said is never, because we were rowdy, okay? You guys know, some of you guys know my history. We were rowdy. I changed my entire life, but I was on the way to death. I was on my way to not being here. That's how bad it got. But we had a lot of parties. We had a lot of stuff. And one of the things is people would get drunk and all messed up and want to fight each other. And I remember even me, I'm like, you know what? I don't care what you guys do, but you've dragged that shit inside this house. I don't care how you destroy my house inside, but do not be taking that crap outside this house. That's the way I was. That's the way I was raised, And I have to think, and I come from this type of, home environment. I love my mom. I love my dad. Don't get me wrong with what I'm saying. Parents, I'm very thankful that I had a better life than either one of my parents. They were able to give me more than they got. And at the end of the day, no parent is perfect. And life it sucks a little bit, right? We all go through this thing called life. And we just pray to God we're better than what our parents were for us. And that we have, we do things a little bit better. But we are not perfect. And we never will be. So I'm very thankful I love my family. I'm very thankful, and I love their imperfections. I accept everything for exactly who it is and who they are, and it's just life, right? I don't ever try to change anybody. I occasionally may make a suggestion, I'm just saying. But I just don't believe that he walked out of this house. I just don't believe he was able to hide his scent. I just don't believe he was able to be a Houdini. I just don't believe he's capable of that. So if I don't believe he's capable of that, it doesn't matter whether he is capable of that or not because I've removed it. There's my bias in the situation when I'm reporting this because I truly do not believe he was, and Breezy said, well, lured maybe. And in Breezy, normally we would look down that avenue all day long. But you know what the problem is Katie and Chris and Seth have removed him from any type of internet. He has no outside influences. He has no internet influence to be lured from. He doesn't have any friends that would convince him to walk out of the house or do something like that. He really was a sheltered child that was surrounded by only family mostly. So, unless he went to school. So that's screaming inside job to me, because this kid has no friends, no internet predators, and he's surrounded by the family. Let me get up here. I see you guys chatting. Thank you all for being here. I love having these conversations. Stephanie says, I'm frustrated with the whole ordeal. I think we can agree out of that door. And there is a good reason KP don't want to be in that house. And I think DJ Polly, I think you're absolutely correct. And I think everybody kind of hit on it. We're like, why would a mother run out of her house and absolutely refuse to stay there? You know, they didn't just move their trailer and everything, you know, to a campground locally, you know, nearby, because they were feeling the pressure in front of their house, or maybe they didn't want to bring all this stuff to their neighborhood. But they didn't go to a nearby campground just to set up to hold their head down so they can be around to, you know, field anything with their son. They went to a campground 3.5 hours away in a completely different state. That's a little different. You know, I can understand if things get chaotic. You know, this is social media. We don't, in all fairness, we can say that they're not getting death threats and they're making all this up, but we don't really know. And we know that there is a lot of hostility toward them because people don't believe their story. So there is a possibility that they are kind of concerned about their health and well-being because of this case. I mean, and in the end of the day, we're on social media talking about these cases, guys, and I can tell you there is some instability on social media. People that, you know, will do stuff. It's because they have their own issues going on, you know? And so they get ultra involved in this, and then their obsessive compulsive disorder may take over or something like that. So we have to be cautious that there are people out there that would call this family and would do these types of things. So if that was the case, I think I would just expect them to be a little closer to home, you know? Because if it's a legit and viable reason, they're being threatened, they're worried about their safety. I mean, me personally, I would think that a concrete block home versus a camper is much more safe for my well-being. And, you know, with being in their home, they could have had law enforcement come by and check on their home, you know, on their rotations to make sure nobody's there. They would have been safer in their home. So I'm not sure, you know, we have to look at that aspect. Why did they run away from that home? Is it because of what they know happened inside that home? To me, that's the only way I think a mama would ever leave her cub behind. She knows he's not coming back, and she can't stand to look at where he, you know? He didn't overdose. He was on ADHD meds. They didn't over-medicate him. I don't think... I think I hit something. Sorry. Oh, good. I just pinned it. I'm so sorry. Every now and again, I accidentally hit something. And so if I accidentally block you or something like that, please reach out to me immediately. Bullhorn Betty. I'm working on a phone, so sometimes I can't see. That's why I wear these. And I'll accidentally hit something. I think they left because they know they're about to be caught and they're going to try to run. You know what? I kind of brought that up on one of my earlier lives here this morning when we did it. And I said, you know, I wonder if this is some way to give just another layer of BS, like extradition. You know, if they do end up getting an arrest warrant and they are in Mississippi, they're going to send that arrest warrant to Mississippi. Or try to coax them to come back over to Tennessee so they can make the arrest themselves, which would probably be the smart thing to do. But because they're in Mississippi, if there is an arrest warrant or grand jury indictment, a sealed grand jury indictment that comes down, then yeah, we're going to have an extradition issue for both Katie and Chris. And they'll end up coming back. It just drags out the process just a little bit more. If Sebastian returns, they are not there. That's crazy. Yeah, if Sebastian returned, like, not only that, but listen to this. Because there was some trolls in that mysterious, this chat room, the mysterious disappearance of Sebastian Rogers. There was a few trolls in there that were trolling us and trying to say that there was this big, huge FBI, going in there and doing all this stuff. And we're like, why isn't anybody, we do this so much. Like, if a neighborhood's being crawled with law enforcement, like every neighbor is taking pictures and posting them everywhere, right? They're throwing them in chats and stuff like that. It's not our first rodeo. So we were missing that. I'm like, guys, we need to be cautious about this. Like, where's the photos? Where are the photos that we always see? Where are the photos of the neighbors posting, this huge cavalry in front of their house? They said, we're not seeing it. So we got with a few creators and found somebody that would go out there to check on the house. And listen to this, y'all. The front of the house, and this was at night, the front of the house was completely dark. The inside of the house was completely dark. There were like 2 little floodlights on the outside of the house in this very, very, very dark house. Nobody was there. And there was one lonely sign in their front yard for Sebastian. That's what Sebastian would walk home to. If he truly was out there, he would be walking home. He would be knocking on a door. He would be, wanting to know if he's allowed in the house. And there's nobody to greet him. And nobody that's going to be there, even if he called mommy, that could be there with him for hours if he returns. For hours. But we all know a mother, even garbage moms, they would never leave their cub behind if they truly believed he was out there and he was out there alive. There's no way. There's no way. I don't see anybody. I mean, I've known pretty stinking bad mothers, and even bad mothers, keep an eye on their kids. In some cases, there's really bad mothers out there, but she's not. If you look at her from the outside looking in, she's not one of the worst mothers we've ever seen. We've seen some pretty bad mothers. You know what I'm saying? She's by far not the worst. I think she allowed something to get so bad without asking for help, and now we're in a situation like this. And now she's probably in a stage where she doesn't really know what to do, and I feel like she's under the control of Christopher Proudfoot. And no matter how we feel about this woman, she is missing her child. And I truly don't believe that this was intentional. I don't believe that she would ever have planned on taking her son out. I don't believe that. So I have to believe that she's dealing with a lot of shock from this. But I also believe that she's helping cover it up as well, so her man and her don't get in trouble. Their house of cards has fallen. The veil, this illusion that they've painted for themselves for all these years, has been removed. Our eyes are squarely and directly on them. This has got to be a very uncomfortable feeling. I don't want to be in their shoes by any stretch of the imagination, but we have a 15-year-old boy that was in their care that is missing. And in my mind, as much, I am very sorry if it offends the family. And, but I have to, no matter what law enforcement is saying, I know they're advising the family of the reality. I know they have to be. So we know the reality of a child being gone for 6 weeks. We don't need somebody to tell us, how to feel about that or what to think about that. We've done this long enough that we know 6 weeks is a significant amount of time for a boy that has no food and has no shoes. So the grim possibility is absolutely knocking on our door when it comes to this case, and why we need to find Sebastian immediately. But there was a part that I heard, and I'm trying to look it up. Oh, maybe you guys can help me with this, because you guys are in everything and everywhere, and you guys have been amazing. I got to say, over the last few days, coming here and telling you guys about my problems and seeing how you guys can help, you guys have helped. And I'm going to tell you another story here in just a second. When it comes to Chris and Katie Proudfoot, we talked about the home security system. I don't believe that they didn't have a home security system. And that we also talked about them leaving and him not being there. But there was a couple creators out there in the field looking for him, actually out in the woods. And I think it was this particular one that came across Seth's mother, Linda. I think her name's Linda Rogers, I believe. Maybe I could be wrong. I can't remember her name. I think it's Linda, but I could be wrong. And they were talking, and she had mentioned that Chris had made some type of comment to the effect of they'll never find him. Now, how true that is, I don't know. But I have, a lot of this stuff I do even if it's rumor, I put some weight in it because, rumors are rumors until they become corroborated, and we're not going to corroborate rumors without having the rumors to corroborate, right? To go out and look into. So I really don't know if that is the case, but wow, what if? What else do we have going on in this case? Oh yeah, and so do you guys know of this? You guys are TikTok, and I'm I'm over on YouTube as well. We have this lady, a beautiful lady from the UK. Her name's Crime Stories Obsessed. She's got a channel, Crime Stories Obsessed, and she sent me some visuals. I want to show you guys how wonderful this community is and how much you guys help. And there was some screenshots, from this satellite. Now, we're in this business. We realize that these images that we're seeing could be, in some cases, many years old. So we don't really take a whole lot of stock in them because they do usually have an insignia of when that picture was captured. Sometimes usually they're within 2 years. So, if we're looking at an image, we're probably looking at a 2022 or 2021 image when we're on Google Maps. Many people don't realize that. But if you look there's a watermark on there, and it usually tells you when that image was collected. This particular image was collected in 2024, which is what caused all the hype in this, because it looked like a face in the bushes, like laying on the ground. So people were like freaking out as they were doing these visuals with maps. So, I personally know about the photos, but you know what? Just an ounce of prevention, right? Just can we just confirm that it's not what people are thinking it is, right? And so I came here earlier and I said, look, if anybody's in Jackson, Tennessee, we've got a location we just need to have clear just to be sure, because we don't want to put anybody out or have somebody have to drive 2 hours for a nothing burger, but if somebody's like right there and can just go over there and check it out, that would be amazing, right? Just one less thing that we have to worry about and one less thing we don't know about. And a beautiful lady, her name was Stephanie, God bless her, reached out to me. And I think it was Stephanie. I want to make sure I got the name right, at least the first name. I'd like to, because people do hard work. She came out and saved Bullhorn Betty's butt. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was able to go. Yes, her name's Stephanie, beautiful Stephanie. And she reaches out to me and she says, well, I'm worried about the image being. I said, you know what? I absolutely agree. That's my concern. That's why we wanted to make sure we didn't make somebody go out of their way. We wanted somebody right there that could just go over there and check, And she said, no matter what, I'm going over there to check. Well, she let me know that it was nothing. There's nothing there. This face, this image, we can move past it. It probably was an older image. It could have been a bag. You've got to remember, these satellites are looking up. Even those road things, satellites. It's really weird because even here, like even here, like with my hair, whenever I have certain lighting, my hair does not look good in certain lighting. So it's because of the shadowing. So I think that some of that imaging could be shadowing, but she was able to clear it. Tell me that's not amazing. Here we have a problem. We rack in our brains, could this be a possibility? We come here on social media, we ask for somebody to help, they step forward, they go out there, they check it, and guess what? We now have one thing cleared off this. We don't have to look at that no more. We know for a fact that's not Sebastian Rogers. And we learn that that's not Sebastian Rogers within 2 hours. Within 2 hours. That to me is next to amazing. Next to amazing. And then we were talking about the whole I-40 corridor and how that needs to be searched because it's a 3.5 hour drive there and whatnot. Well, we have beautiful people that are now driving I-40. I mean, seriously, I-40 and getting off the exits and searching and going out there in the woods. We got people doing that. I mean, that to me is a miracle. Is a miracle. Once upon a time, we had none of that. We had none of that. You know what? We sat here and watched the news and begged and pleaded that law enforcement would find. And you know what? People are saying, we understand law enforcement. I mean, shit, our law enforcement has been decimated, right? Defund, defund, defund. Well, you know what? It's not working for us. And now people are having to get out there and look because we got no law enforcement agencies like we used to. In Tennessee, they're closing their freaking doors to their sheriff's department at nights and weekends. What? So, I'm not going to get into a political diatribe or a soapbox talk here. So we'll keep it to this boy. I'm telling you, I could go on for days of Tennessee. I really could. I just want them to get their crap together so we can start getting these cases solved, because I want to know what happened to Sebastian, and I truly believe Chris and Katie hold the key to that, and I want them behind bars if they touched a hair on this boy's head. A hair on this boy's head. I want them behind bars. Now, just on a side note for fairness and transparency, I did watch an Inside Edition video that I think was really informative for me. And this particular video was talking about how children that have been missing for years were reunited with their family. Most of them, they were abducted and, whatever, or ran away, like that kid in France. But there was one case here in the United States that actually was debuted in that Inside Edition. And it just so happened to be an autistic kid that ran off from his home and was never seen again. Wild. But if I recall, he left with things like shoes on his feet and stuff like that. But I could be wrong. And he had been living on the streets and taking care of himself for 3 to 4 years. So I did watch it. There is a possibility that kid was an outlier. I want you guys to understand what an outlier is. It means that we have we have statistics, and then we have statistical anomalies. These are outliers. These are things that do happen, but don't happen typically. And so this was one of those things where that was an outlier, where we do have this kid. But I wanted to put that in there because a lot of people like me believe that he's not going to be able to make it home again. But there's a lot of people that still have hope, and I don't ever want to extinguish that hope. So I always, tell you guys my opinion and give you guys hope. Like, we could have a miracle, like a Charlotte Senna miracle. I thought she was a goner. I will be honest with you. The statistics were not in her favor. She is a miracle to be here. I pray to God he's a miracle to be here. But until I have a scintilla of information that gives me or leads me to hope, it's hard. There was clear differences between the case that I'm talking about on the Inside Edition. Oh, thank you, Rhonda. God bless you. There was a difference between the Inside Edition kid and this kid. And that predominantly was the evidence that that other kid actually walked off. There's no evidence like that in this case. So we have a lot of, even though we do have that, there's a lot of very, very specific differences in that Inside Edition news story and the case of Sebastian Rogers. But we want to have hope. We want to believe that he's going to come home and going to come home safely. Many of you know I'm going out there. I'll be out there on the 21st. It is a hard date. I will be going out there. I don't know if I'll be doing anything specifically on the 21st because I have to have a day for fact-finding and locating. So and that's just something that I do. It's just my work ethic. So it's basically just driving around a whole bunch of places and identifying whether they have viability for searching or not. And it's just making sure that I have a good idea of where I'm going to be searching. And it usually takes, because of the level, 3.5 hours to Memphis and back. That first day is pretty much shot. So it's going to be all fact-finding of locating possible search areas, because I'll be out there throughout the week. And when I go out there, I want to have a list of this, and this. And people have been also sending me some information, too, of places to go look and check. And I've been making lists of those. So when I'm in those areas, I will be taking a detour and going over to these very specific spots that my audience feels are ripe for searching. So that's kind of where we are with this, but I just really wanted you guys to hear that ladies from that the mysterious disappearance of Sebastian Rogers Facebook group. I just wanted to make sure that you guys had an opportunity to hear some of the responses, some of the perspective of some of the people in that chat. And it really gravitated to me, especially with the dogs, because I never thought about this. This is what I love about it. Like, these are things that I don't think about, but when I hear them, something else pops in my head. And they were talking about the dogs and their barking, but even though they were talking about their dogs and barking, it still popped in my head, could these have been an emotional support animals, even though that wasn't even anywhere in her response. And I have to think, were they emotional support animals? And that's a question that wasn't asked. But I almost agree with a lot of this person's perspective. And the fact that they have multiple theories like many of us do. We need just a little bit more information to start having one theory kind of gravitate and take hold of this. Guys, I'm hearing we have people, this might be breaking news. Stay with me, guys. Stay with me. Let me look this up. Possibly. I don't know. I'll cut this out if it's not, but at least I'll try to cut it out. Sometimes I don't even think about it. Oh my God. This is breaking news, guys. Breaking news coming out. If you guys are scrolling by, do not scroll by. We have some breaking news coming out right now. It appears, now we can't be 100% until I get some more details. Let me get their stuff up. There we go. You guys know we have been following the case of Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly. This is a preacher's wife. She was the supervisor of Veronica's supervised visitation with the children. This case was very tight-lipped. Family was told not to speak to social media. And so the family weren't speaking to social media, and we've had people out there, you know, searching for these young ladies. We just recently learned, thank you guys, we just recently learned in the last 24 to 48 hours that they do believe these women were shot. I had a little more details I kept from the public for purposes. I want to see if those details hold water, because we heard cat litter was actually dumped on some of the blood spots. So I'm very curious about that, but we're hearing right now 4 people are in custody in connection with the missing Hugoton, Kansas women, Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly. This is coming from Cake News. It is official. It is coming from an official news organization. Guys, I can't be, I'm covered in goosebumps. Like, I want to cry right now. I literally, like, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm literally covered in goosebumps from head to toe hearing this information, because this is so sad for me. This is so sad, and it just shows you the gravity of matters of the heart. You know, it's not just, in this day and age, it's not just about the person and their significant other. This is where Wrangler, her ex, is in rehab. He's not there. He didn't hurt her. Now, was he involved? I don't know. Did they act on their own accord? I don't know. It's not really telling us how many, it's not really telling, okay, let's go ahead and read this. We got an article, guys. It's breaking for a lot of people. Guys, this is breaking my heart, but let's go ahead and read what we've got here so far. Oh, they have a news clip. Let's listen to the news clip.
Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly were last seen. They left the Hugoton area last Saturday on their way to pick up some kids. Authorities and found their car abandoned just across the border in a rural part of Oklahoma. Tonight, we're getting a first look at the scene.
I don't know if that's an old news clip or not, but here's what the actual article says, and this is in Wichita, Kansas, Cake News. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation say 4 people are in custody in connection with the disappearance of Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly. The OSBI tells Cake News that 1 person was arrested in Texas County and 3 in Cimarron County on Saturday. All 4 people are being processed into Texas County. OSBI says they have no other suspects in this case. The search is still on for missing women who were last heard from 13 days ago. The OSBI says they are hopeful the women are still alive. The OSBI says they will release a full press release later Saturday or Sunday. So I anticipate sometime later today or tomorrow, we're going to be getting a press conference on this matter related to the 2 women. And I have a funny feeling we're going to hear some familiar names in this case. Now, 1 person is in Texas County. That's important to me. And 3 are in Cimarron County. That's important to me as well. I don't know where the actual county line is for the location these ladies were supposed to be picking up the children to take them to the birthday. There's been a lot of allegations that the mother-in-law is very evil, and she has a son that is a problem. She has a boyfriend that she apparently is breaking up with at the time, but is a problem. These are violent men. And is it the grandmother, or is it his brother, or his stepfather, alleged stepfather? I'm going to call him a stepfather because I think mom's boyfriend is so juvenile. I don't like using juvenile language. I think we're all adults here. There in Tennessee, you don't even have to have a marriage certificate. It's common law out there. So I'm just going to say step parent. I think the grandmother is involved. We're not hearing who the names are. I know that the people with boots on the ground probably know the names of the players here, know probably who the 4 people are that have been arrested. Stepfather and brother, I think. I would think that is. I think it's the mom, the stepfather, the brother, and probably a friend or another family member that was a part of this orchestration. So we do have breaking news, guys. It sounds like these ladies right here are the people that are responsible for their disappearance and death have been arrested. We have 4 people that has been arrested in connection with their case, all being now transported to Texas County to be processed. This case, guys, is not going to look good. I think the reason why, and I'm going to tell you guys this, I know this is going to be a little disheartening for you. Now, I don't know how accurate this is. I got to put that disclaimer on here. But I heard pig farms were being searched. And if you guys know anything about boars and pigs, they go through everything. They eat everything. They can, and what does that mean? It means when you need something to disappear, the pig farms are how you do it. Okay, this is something I'm from the country. Okay, this is not something new. This is something that you are literally taught from 2 years on up. You know, even when your parents are teaching, because you're out in the country, they're teaching you to stay away from this livestock, these animals, you know, wild boars and stuff like that. Everybody keeps saying the teeth will remain. In some, you know, sorry, but pigs don't spit teeth out when they're chewing. They swallow that. So yeah, it's not their cup of tea, but when they're eating, they're eating. And they swallow just like sharks. I mean, if you cut a shark's belly open, you probably got tires in there. It's the same type of thing. Everybody keeps saying they don't eat teeth. They don't specifically pick them up and eat them, but if it's attached to something they're eating, trust me, it's going down the hatch. They're not going to be spitting that out, is what I'm trying to say. So they go through everything. And when I say everything, they go through everything. Does it mean that if that's the case, there's no evidence? No, there's still evidence out there. There's still plenty of evidence, and like they say, there's still going to be some biological stuff that they don't get to, or is smashed into the grounds or stuff like that. But that's what I heard. I heard that they were searching some. Now again, you're going to have to do your own research and verify that. But I've heard that enough along this journey that it seems like, you know, you don't want to think about it, and actually put it past my mind before, thinking it had to have been fake news. But I had heard it several times from several different people out there, and I'm like, oh crap, maybe there is some validity to this, you know. A threat to come back out, the others an end may be found. Beverly, you know what? I also thought about this. You know, one of the people in my group, I have a group designated for these 2 people on Facebook. It's Finding Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly, if you guys want to go over there. And one of the people that live out there made a post, and it was a little upsetting to hear, because in their post they said that they feel like the law enforcement doesn't really have it together. You know, it's a smaller community. They don't have the kind of resources that larger communities have. It's part of the living in the smaller community. But they said that there's a lot of accidents out there that go unsolved. A lot of people that just wind up dead, or accidents that go unsolved out there. And it makes me wonder, if this family can do this to the mother of their grandkids or family members, what could they do to somebody that pissed them off, or stole drugs from them, or stole money from them, or did something off the wall? You know, how many bodies is this family truly, because this seems awfully convenient. How many other bodies are attached to this family that this community has no clue about? Obviously, they had no problem taking these 2 ladies out. These are women. Racing Girl, it's Kansas and Oklahoma. Their stuff, their car, and where they believe that they lost their life actually in Oklahoma, but they were women that were coming from Hugoton, Kansas, to go pick up children in Eva, Oklahoma. And they didn't make it, and a pastor reached out. So the girl, Veronica's fiance and Jillian's husband, Heath, got in a car and started making their trip there. And they found their car, and their car was in a really weird and bizarre place. It was 1,000 feet off the roadway. That's a significant difference. I thought it was just off the roadway on the, you know, the side, like the embankment, just a few feet off the roadway, like where we always park our cars. Like, say you get a flat tire, you pull off. This car, according to the news reports, was 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet off the road. That's significant. That's significant. And for whatever reason, it was when I read this article, I think I just read it yesterday or the day before, and I'm like, 1,000 feet? That's a lot. I don't know if it was placed there or if they were literally ran off the road and, when somebody came and sideswiped them, they just spun out and went that way. They show evidence of somebody trying to run. I don't know which one. And they show evidence of them being dragged back. It was a very brutal and violent scene. So that's what we're dealing with when it comes to these girls. I am so thankful 4 people are behind bars right now. Now if we can just get Tennessee. Seems awfully funny. All these states without bodies seem to be making arrests except freaking Tennessee. Tennessee. We got Oklahoma making arrests without bodies. Kansas making arrests without bodies. Florida making arrests without bodies. All these places. California, one of the most liberal states in our country that loves to, no offense to you Californians. I'm not trying to offend you, but you guys know you're liberals, right? I don't need to convince you guys of that. I'm not going to offend you because of, that's your choice to be. But liberal states are a little more kinder to criminals, okay? Period. And they arrest people and charge them without bodies. Right? So every freaking state in this union seems to charge people without bodies except the state of Tennessee. And we have 4 cases in Tennessee of people missing with no bodies. Imagine that. And guess what? Where their cases are at. Guess where it's at? Nowhere. Where is it at? Nowhere. The only one that's having action right now on it is Sebastian Rogers. And I honestly believe that was forced action because remember, they didn't even want to do any more searches out there. But you know what? We brought in the cavalry to do the searches. And I think law enforcement is like, oh crap, we need to get out there. We did hear from EquiSearch. It sounds like they were working really hard next with Sumner County sheriffs out there for Sebastian Rogers. But again, I just found this out. I thought you guys, we were just about to close down the live whenever we started getting breaking news on the 2 girls, another case that we've been heavily covering. So I see that there are a few more people in here. We just went over some information related to Chrissy. So 2 things going on here. The 2 girls that we were covering, Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly. 4 people, it just broke while we were here talking about this case here. Just broke. 4 people have been arrested. Hallelujah. Praise God. They're in Texas County. Those are our 2 beautiful ladies, Jillian Butler and, Jillian Kelly and Veronica Butler. So they still have not been found, but I was bringing up the point how all these states seem to arrest people when they can't find bodies, but the state of Tennessee just can't quite make it. They can't figure it out. Chris and Katie need to be behind bars. They cannot produce their son. They cannot tell us what happened. And now we're hearing that there is abuse in the home. Yet they're still able to sit in a camper and hide like cowards all the way over in Mississippi. And it, to me, feels like we haven't even gotten the house done, have any type of forensics done in this case. And it's been 6 flipping weeks. I don't know what kind of policing that is. I really don't. 6 weeks, anybody could screw with evidence in 6 weeks. You've got to get in there as quickly as possible and get what you need before it is destroyed. And Tennessee just doesn't get it. TBI just doesn't get it. But here we are. We have another Barney Fife case in the middle of frickin' BFE. And they've got 4 people arrested with no bodies. 4. Tennessee needs to get it together. So I'm not going to keep beating on the drum beat because I get so upset. Boy, you want to talk about something that makes me hot? It's unsolved cases. It is unsolved cases. It's unsolved cases when the information is literally glaring to the rest of us. And you know what? I keep thinking they have to be tried in a jury of their peers. And if we can see and make heads or tails of it on the outside, I truly believe that the people on the jury can hear and see as well and make their own decision up. They need to trust the jury a little more than they do. And I truly believe in the Tennessee people out there. They're sick of this crime. They want to put bad guys behind bars. Give them the opportunity. Give them the opportunity, Tennessee. Let them show you what they're made of. They're ready to put bad guys behind bars too. 4 people were arrested. That's correct. And that's in the Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly case. We're very thankful. Girls from YouTube and TikTok are still out there searching for these girls, trying to find them. But, you know, I would have went out there and tried to assist. I'm going to be assisting in the Rogers case. But I would have went out there and assisted in that case if I truly believed that I would have a good opportunity of finding them. But like I said, the information that I'm getting, and I have a lot of back channels and I have a lot of ways of doing the work that I do, and it's not sounding good. It's sounding like they're gone for forever. And I have to wait and see where this goes. If there's any viability of that not being the case, I will be out there helping the girls search for them. But it sounds like, you know, from what I'm hearing, there might not be nothing left. So, all right, guys, I love you. You know, go out and hug your family. Today's Saturday. Tomorrow's Sunday. I will be in church with the coffee club. I go to Countryside Christian Church on Sunday. It's an online church. I post that on my Twitter, on my Facebook, and also as a post on my YouTube. If you guys are, you know, you want to come to church, maybe you got away from church, you know, and you don't go to a brick and mortar and you want to hang out with some good people and praise the Lord, well, come over to our church at Countryside Christian Church. We're all there, the whole entire coffee club. If you guys haven't even met my coffee club is a hoot, okay? They love this stuff. They love this stuff, and they love you guys too. So, you know, if you're home and you haven't been to church in a while and you'd love to, come hang out with us. You're welcome. You're always welcome. All right? We're family, and we're going to be helping these cases as if they're our family as well, and we don't give up, and we keep fighting. So I'll talk to you guys later, and we'll see you soon. God bless you. Hold your family tight. Give your kids a hug and a kiss, okay? I know we take life so for granted sometimes. I can guarantee these girls were out there driving along with not a care in the world, just waiting to go get their kids to take them to a birthday party until all hell broke loose, and here we are. You never know when that moment's going to be for you. You never know when that moment's going to be for somebody you love. So guys, please go call your family, call your friends, let them know you love them, let you know they care. For my family and friends, I want to tell you I love you, I care for you. I know I work a lot. I don't see you as much as I'd like to, but you're always on my thoughts and prayers. All right, guys, take care. God bless, and we'll see you soon.